It's got to be clickbait. It's got to be clickbait. It's not true. No, don't do this to us. Don't play with our emotions. Don't say it's over if it's not really over. How can you do this? Come on. What are you doing? What? This isn't fair. It's not over. I don't believe it. I mean, sure. Mainstream media says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau faces mounting pressure to step aside from inside the caucus. You've got mainstream media that's saying it's over. And I'm here to tell you, I've been trying to tell you. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. I think that if we all come together, we can blow past 410,000 subscribers on this video, because finally, in brackets, not clickbait, it is actually over. Or is it? Justin Trudeau is 100% screwed. Unequivocally, undeniably. He went overseas and brought his kid on vacation, went to meet other countries for the first time ever. Bravo, sir, bravo. While he was doing that, you had 20 plus Liberal MPs that all got together. We don't like Trudeau. We got to get him out. We got to get him out. We got to kick him out. How are we going to do this? So they all wrote letters anonymously, of course, because why would they put their face and their name on the line? They just want to make sure that they're going to be able to get away with it in one clean shot. They're going to want to put that deer down, right? Trudeau is the deer in this instance. And so 20 plus Liberal MPs have come together, and through all their whispers, it's time. Let's do it. The coup. He's going to get Joe Biden. And finally, Justin Trudeau is about to get Joe Biden. Now, we don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. I'll come right out and say this. Is this going to result in Justin Trudeau stepping down? A lot of people, not me. Hey, we haven't made the video yet. A lot of professionals seem to think, yes, that is exactly how it's going to go. Is this going to end in an early election? I don't know. We might have some answers by the end of this video. All I can tell you is that the Liberal cabinet is done. Finito. C'est fini. Tout fini with Justin Trudeau. And they used this opportunity while he was overseas to basically try and do a little bit of a coup. This is going to be a phenomenal video, folks. It's the one we've all been waiting for. The next video that we're all waiting for is the actual announcement of Trudeau being ousted. But right now, this is the biggest step that any Liberals have taken. Other than just all these whispers, this is the biggest step towards actually getting Trudeau out of the Liberal cabinet. Holy smokes, totes my goats, am I ever excited for this video. But of course, we have to talk about protecting ourselves. There's a lot at stake here in Canada. Let's talk about protecting ourselves online. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. We've teamed up together and we're offering my audience 83% off for using code SUNSHINE, which can be found linked down below in the description or the pinned comment below. It's no surprise that we're living in a time of censorship, and Canada is unfortunately leading that race because of Justin Trudeau. Now, Justin Trudeau wants to make sure that you can't see the news. He wants to make sure that you can't see certain content on streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Crave, and you shouldn't have Disney Plus because, of course, our finance minister said if you can't afford things, you should cancel Disney Plus. So the way around this is through a VPN such as Private Internet Access. Now, for those who don't know what a VPN is, it's a way to encrypt your data, basically putting a cloak over you so that you can freely browse the internet without feeling like your personal information is at risk or the government getting and selling your personal information. And the best way that I like to go about this, the best cloak that I like to put over myself is Private Internet Access, which again can be found linked down below in the description or the pinned comment below for 83% off. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring this video. All right, so you can see that Justin Trudeau is not liked. Canadians have lost support, as we're going to find out in this video. Liberals have lost support in him, and you're going to see a reflection of that in the polls in the next 24 to 48 hours. But for those that have missed it all week, here is the latest, a little bit outdated because it's like almost a week old, polls. You got Pierre at 228 projected seats. Let me know down in the comments where you think he's going to end up on the next update. I think he's going to be at 231, 232. You got Trudeau at 53. I think he's going to be down to 46, maybe 45. You get the Bloc at 42, the NDP at 18, 99% likely clean sweep across the board of the Conservatives winning the most seats and odds of a majority government. So everything there on those fronts is looking phenomenal. Now, we're going to play out this video the way we do with other videos. We're going to do some Canadian news first, the smaller stories, and then towards the end of the video is the meat and potatoes. So if you're just looking for the announcement and the news about the 20 MPs that are gathering, it's buried somewhere in this video. It's towards the end, folks. Maybe somebody who's generous enough can put a timestamp down below, but I highly encourage you guys to stick around because there's a lot of stuff going on in Canada aside from just Justin Trudeau finally coming to an end. So what is coming to an end is low fees with Spotify. Spotify is set to increase monthly subscription prices in Canada. And as you can see by the top comment, this is another Liberal success story. Then you have, the Liberals that aren't going to be in power for much longer saying that they are seriously considering building Canada's first high-speed rail link between Quebec City and Toronto. Now, we're going to have to ask Pierre. Pierre's the one that's going to be making those decisions, right? Because we all know Pierre is going to be winning. But let me know if you guys, maybe those of you that are from that area, if you think that's a good idea. And then we have this insanely sad story. So John Rustad, the premier candidate for BC, said together David Eby and Justin Trudeau have completely broken the justice system in BC. Eby literally wrote the book on how to sue the police. Now, violent criminals are stabbing seniors to death and walking free. It's time to end Eby's revolving door justice system. This comes to light from a story where a man who stabbed a senior to death in Vancouver's Biltmore Hotel building in 2020 has been given a conditional sentence for the killing, meaning he will not serve any jail time if he remains on good behavior in the community. So this man pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the stabbing death of a 72-year-old who died in a single knife wound to the chest on the floor of the former hotel December 15th, 2020. The judge's sentencing decision, which was since published online Friday, indicates that the stabbing arose out of a minor altercation between two men inside an elevator in the building, which now serves as a single-room occupancy residence. The man who the man who did the stabbing had been drinking with a friend when they entered the hotel around 2 p.m. and took the elevator to the 6th floor. They continued drinking and took drugs inside a suite for about half an hour before leaving, pounding on doors and yelling as they walked down the hallway. And that ended up leading to an altercation, a minor altercation, they're calling it. And then he stabbed the older man in the chest, essentially killing him. And this is the state of Canada. This doesn't make any sense. No jail time for something like that. That's not normal behavior. You don't just carry around knives and stab people when you get into altercations. But this is Canada, and more specifically, this is BC. And to talk about our shitty crime policies here is Pierre Poilievre in a recent interview. I did post a video about this recently, but this is just a clip from that interview.
Do you think, though, people take the charges seriously enough? Because in talking with the police locally, they say, you know, these are extensive investigations they have to roll out.
I don't think any criminals take any charges seriously after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. They know that even if they're caught, they'll be released on bail within minutes. We saw the guy who shot the police officer last week. He was out on bail after violating his probation orders 24 times. So, the Trudeau catch and release criminal justice system signals to criminals, you can do whatever you want. You can terrorize, you can attack, you can kill, you can rape, and you will be out on bail within minutes to do it all over again. We need to get rid of that catch and release, bring in jail, not bail, mandatory prison sentences to lock up the criminals and stop the crime.
On bail.
And I think a lot of people with common sense really agree with that. But I'll ask you guys down below in the comments, Do you agree with that? I mean, that's crazy that our crime kind of goes unpunished here in Canada. And speaking of crime, this next story is pretty wild. So there's a man in Ontario who went 11 months without paying rent, and he finally moved out. And he owes $32,000. That is insane. Now, there are procedures that you can take to go through, like court and, sue that individual, sue the people that are these professional scammers that, get into a building, they rent and they never pay. It's just crazy, though. Like, this is the state of Canada, man. You got criminals running rampant. You've got people that are renting and not even paying, and eviction laws prevent them from being evicted in a timely manner. It's just horrible what the hell is going on. It's absolutely horrible. And then you've got, speaking of horrible, today you have shots were fired at an all-girls Jewish elementary school in Toronto for the second time. Now, Pierre Poilievre was very quick. Very, very quick. You can see this story broke almost 8 a.m. Pacific Standard, and Pierre was like 2.5 hours behind, and said more bullets fired at Jewish school overnight in Toronto. This is yet another shameful and terrifying common anti-Semitic attack in Canada. And then when you look at what Justin Trudeau has said, nothing. You refresh this page. No, oh, there you go. 2 minutes ago. Wow. So when I prepped the video, he didn't even say anything. But while I'm recording, he finally says something. Holy smokes. I'm very disturbed to hear that last night, as families marked Yom Kippur, there were shots fired at a Jewish school. So I guess, yeah, okay. Good job on finally breaking your silence. But again, 10:26 Pacific Standard Time to what it is now. It's 12 o'clock, just after 12 o'clock Pacific Standard at the time of this recording. That's an hour and a half, almost 2 hours past the leader of the opposition. Like, Justin Trudeau is out of the loop. He is fizzling out and is not looking good for him. And we're going to be talking about that, don't worry, in a moment here. But first, we're going to talk about a couple other breaking news things, right? So the Senate passes the Liberal and NDP bill to cover diabetes and birth control medication. Now, this is crazy because when the Liberals were bragging about this, they didn't say that it was the NDP bill. They had said it was their bill. They said Liberal Pharmacare plan has now been put in place. I mean, they're just like riding each other's coattails and trying to burn each other down. It's kind of funny if I really think about it.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister today was touting the progress of a national pharmacare plan while traveling overseas. The bill is now law, offering hope for Canadians struggling under the weight of costly medications. Now, the pressure is on the government to get deals in place with provinces and territories. CTV's Rachel Aiello on where the drug plan goes from here.
Legislation outlining the first phase of a national drug coverage plan passed Parliament on Thursday. The bill becoming law paves the way for the federal government to negotiate deals with premiers to provide diabetes and contraceptive medications.
This is real progress, but now we need the provinces and territories to come to the table and sign agreements with us.
The Liberals are aiming to have agreements in place across Canada allowing public health coverage for drugs such as insulin and morning after pills by the spring. So far, BC is on board, but Quebec and Alberta have already said they want to opt out.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
The bill also sets the foundation for a broader universal pharmacare plan, with an expert panel being struck to make recommendations to the minister within a year. After voting against the legislation, Pierre Poilievre today reaffirmed that a Conservative government would not move forward with what he thinks is a bad plan.
We're not going to have a single-payer system that bans you and union workers and countless other people from keeping the excellent private plans they already have.
The Liberals earmarked $1.5 billion for the first phase of pharmacare, but the Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates a full program would cost billions more. Advocates are celebrating the bill's passage as a hard-fought win for Canadians who skip doses because of the cost, and are calling on the government now to move quickly.
This pharmacare that we've achieved is something that could be so amazing, but it's very fragile.
Stakeholders, including the...
And so this is the craziest thing too, is that Jagmeet was literally not calling an election because he wanted to pass this. And now it's done. And there's nothing else that Jagmeet can get from this Liberal government. He's gotten everything that he's wanted, and the Bloc is not getting what they want. And so now that you've got all of this kind of mishmash of support, or I guess lack of support, even within the Liberal cabinet, and all the other parties are saying, all right, we've, rinsed dry how much we can use this Liberal government to pass certain things. I mean, come on, let's fill in the gap there. What does it look like is going to happen, right? Am I right? It really feels like Justin Trudeau is not in a good position. And now finally, folks, let's take a look at the it's over news for Justin Trudeau. I've been telling you, folks. I've been trying to tell you. Breaking. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to encounter growing pressure from members of his party this week to resign as the Liberal Party. Here we go. Buckle up, folks. Buckle up.
MPs have been meeting in rooms all across Parliament Hill, and they're being asked to sign their names to what amounts to a pledge to stand together in calling for Trudeau to resign. This is by far the most advanced effort that we have seen to this point, and it's really escalated throughout this week with Justin Trudeau overseas at this summit in Asia.
And what sort of reaction are we expecting from the Prime Minister?
Right now, it is still very unclear how Justin Trudeau responds once he's back in Canada.
Woo-wee, folks. Woo-wee. And we're going to get a response because he's back. You ready for this one? Now let's take a look at what CTV's got to say here. Prime Minister faces mounting pressure to step aside from inside caucus.
Let's go back to our top story now and questions about the Prime Minister's leadership from within his own party. A group of backbench MPs is in discussions to formally ask Justin Trudeau to resign. Joining me now is Nick Nanos, founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. Nick, thanks as always for joining us.
Good to see you, Roger.
All right, with all these things unfolding, the machinations of Ottawa coming to light right now, let's take a look at the ballot support. Long term, Poilievre still got a big lead over Trudeau and Singh.
Yeah, still a significant advantage for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. But, the real story here is the Liberals and the New Democrats still within the margin of error. It's terrible news for the Liberals and for Justin Trudeau to be basically statistically tied with the New Democrats. The Conservatives still firmly in the driver's seat with about an 18-point advantage. But, the thing is, if you're a Liberal, you're looking at this is kind of like, I don't want to use doomsday, but I guess I just use doomsday scenario, Roger. Like, you're probably, if you're a Liberal, you're probably clutching your chest. And if you're a Conservative, you're fist pumping with numbers like this. And if you're the New Democrats, you're like, okay, so we're tied with the Liberals for Jagmeet Singh to try to jumpstart, to try to pull ahead in the same way that Jack Layton and Tom Mulcair had the advantage over the Liberals. It speaks to the pressure, significant pressure that is under Justin Trudeau. And why don't we just say he's in a pressure cooker? If he decides to stay, he's in a pressure cooker, and right now, it's not a big surprise that, there are individuals within his own party, more and more individuals that are openly wondering about his leadership and the value that it brings to the table.
Absolutely. And long term, this has been a kind of consistent thing we're seeing here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically for more than a year.
With Justin Trudeau at the head of the Liberal ship, currently on his trajectory, even if he were to be removed today from cabinet, right? No more Justin Trudeau. Let's just not even fill anyone else in as prime minister. Prime ministerless. No prime minister. Trudeau's gone. He goes back to his homeland, Cuba, right? There you go. I personally think it's still going to take 10, maybe 15 years for the Liberal cabinet, for the reputation to be fixed. This is nowhere near where liberalism used to be. Heck, a lot of us were raised 15, 20 years ago. We were like mostly liberal. Like Canada's been a progressive country. It's gone back and forth, but in the past 30 years, liberals have been in power for 20 years, right? You go back 30, 40 years ago, liberalism was where conservatism right now. So it's shifted. They've been shifting the goalposts so far to the left that it's not recognizable. And so even if you get rid of Justin Trudeau, a lot of these people that we already know. Karina Gould, Chrystia Freeland, Mark Harland, Marco Mendicino, like everybody. Every single person in the Liberal cabinet right now, I haven't really heard one Liberal person with common sense. Actually, on a recent question period, there was a woman who spoke. I don't even know her name. I don't even know if I've recognized her, but she was a Liberal. And I paused the stream on House of Canada and I started clapping because she was wearing a big scarf that had a Canadian flag on it. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. It's not a Ukrainian flag. It's not a keffiyeh or whatever they're called, the Palestinian or Arabic scarves, right? It was a Canadian scarf with a Canadian flag on it. And I thought, wow, that's a step in the right direction. Let's see more of that. I don't care if that's from the Liberals or the Conservatives. I want to see more Canadian stuff from our Canadian politicians. So I'm not saying that Liberal woman was good and her policies are good. Heck, I don't even know what the hell she said. I can't even remember. I just remember that scarf. So most of the Liberals right now, front bench, back bench, doesn't matter. Staffers, it doesn't matter. They're toxic. They're toxic for this country because they've been either pressured or they've been forced, or their ideologies are just so radical that the goalposts have been shifting so far from anything that makes any sense. It's not normal behavior. So it's going to take a long time to fix it, right? And in the meantime, we're going to have a Conservative majority. It's very likely, right? Like 99% likely. I like those odds. Those are juicy odds. And so it's going to take time to fix a lot of these deficits, all this tax stuff, right? Start putting more money into our infrastructure here in Canada, build here in Canada, grow our foundation and becomes solid and united once again. That's going to take a long time. It's going to take a very, very long time.
You know, the thing is for Justin Trudeau, the one positive thing that he does have is that he likes to campaign and he's a good campaigner. And I think if he decides that he wants to stay, he's probably holding his hat on a one-on-one fight, hopefully between him, from his perspective, between him and Pierre Poilievre, and that Justin Trudeau somehow can make the Liberals a little more competitive. But time for a change is really a hard force to overcome.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the UK. You did a poll regarding the love or dislove, the non-love of the Prime Minister there.
Maybe we can have a whole segment on different ways to say disapproval. Dislove, non-love. I don't know. Anyways, I'd just like to say, Roger, you sound like a bit like a hippie pollster.
Yeah.
When you use stuff like that. But disapproval rating you can see for the Labour leader. And you know what? He rode a massive wave of change against Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives. And, you know, what we're seeing is that, you know, his disapproval rating has basically gone through the roof. You know, 2 out of every 3 voters in the United Kingdom disapprove of him right now. And, you know, the thing is his disapproval was, you know,
liberalism is coming to an end. The toxic ideologies that they've brought to the table, all of this just radical nonsense is really going out the window. And we've got one more clip here pulled up. Let's take a look at this.
We begin with some developing news tonight over questions about the Prime Minister's leadership from within his own party. Justin Trudeau is on his way home following a summit in Southeast Asia. Let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelos. Vashi, what have you learned?
Hi, Heather. Well, those questions have certainly been raised behind closed doors for MPs, Liberal MPs, for months now, in particular following so many months of sustained lower polling compared to the Tories, as well as lots of by-election, well, 2 very significant by-election losses. What's different here is the fact that there's going to be something formal ahead. And there are a number of MPs. The meeting started last week in caucus when the Prime Minister was not in attendance. He usually is. Those MPs tell me that there was almost like a breakaway group. Some of them called it a secret caucus after, in which they voiced their frustrations to each other and decided they needed to do something. Some of those MPs decided that they would speak directly to the Prime Minister. That has not happened yet. And other MPs decided that they would make a formal ask, a public formal ask of the Prime Minister. There are as many, some MPs tell me, as 30 MPs who will sign their name to such a letter, but none of them really wanted to go on the record confirming that they would be among them. Only 3 actually said that they shared that viewpoint. 6 of them said that they hadn't even seen that. A dozen said they knew of the letter circulating but hadn't yet yet signed it themselves. Certainly, a lot of them are considering doing that, which is something, right? The amazing thing about the downfall of the Liberals right now has been, over the last number of months, that caucus didn't do something like this, right? That there was no public effort, that they remained as disciplined as they have. Well, things are really fraying, and I think this is emblematic of that. The Prime Minister just touched down on his way back from that summit that you mentioned, and he did not comment, but his trade minister did, saying that she was surprised by this news. They certainly did not know about it until they landed, but the Prime Minister, she says, Mary Ng says, still continues to have her continued faith. Heather?
All right, certainly a developing story here, Vashi.
So I'm just going to pass the question off to you guys. What do you think about this? Do you think this is enough to oust Justin Trudeau? What's it going to look like if more Liberal MPs come together and say, all right, look, we're done. The entire Liberal Party is against Justin Trudeau. What does that look like? Do they replace Trudeau with Chrystia Freeland? Do they replace him with somebody else? See, this is the thing that is kind of tricky. Analysts have said there's nobody else that can do that can have a chance at winning a federal election, even if it is 1 year from now. Like, Justin Trudeau is the best shot that they have. And I disagree with that. I think that Justin Trudeau has brought so much negativity to the Liberal Party. Quite literally, a chicken could run for the Liberal Party and they would get more, like an actual chicken, a horse, it doesn't matter, a dog, a cat. I'm not really a cat person, but a dog definitely could get more. A dog would get a lot of votes. A dog might win. Never mind the dog. Let's not put the dog as running for the Liberal Party. My goodness, we don't want that. We don't want the Liberals to win that election. Let's stick with the chicken, because the chicken isn't going to get a majority amount of votes. You put a chicken at the head of the Liberal Party, I think it's going to do better. It's definitely going to do better. It can lay eggs, right? Justin Trudeau can't lay eggs. It can lay eggs. Justin Trudeau is screwed. And I think that anybody else who runs in his place, whether it's Freeland, I think that because there's just so much momentum of F Trudeau, F you Trudeau, there's stickers, there's hats, there's merchandise everywhere. I think that just brings a whole new level to Trudeau. And I'm not suggesting that because there is no wacko Freeland has to go stickers, that gives her a better chance, but kind of. Not because of the lack of merchandise that surrounds insert politician of your choosing, but because there isn't enough momentum for, quite literally, screw that politician, the head of the Liberal Party, because we haven't had that person step into Justin Trudeau's shoes yet. So for that reason, I think that whoever were to replace Justin Trudeau in this theoretical situation, should it go favorable to Trudeau being removed, I think that they will start to pull a little bit better. But will the pressure get to them? Because now there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of eyes on the Liberals, of course, and every single politician is under the microscope, under the radar. On the radar, of every single Canadian, every single analyst, everyone is watching what's going on here in Canada. But being the Prime Minister is a whole other level. And I don't know if other politicians can handle that pressure. Justin Trudeau was made for this, right? He was brought into this world as, like, call it grooming, call it indoctrinating, whatever you want. He was built for politics. I'm not saying he was successful, but his entire upbringing was so that he could enter the political realm. So, I mean, his father being Prime Minister is huge. He definitely loves the spotlight. And he loves the attention, right? And so I don't know if other people from the Liberal Party would be able to handle it the way he does. And to be honest, Justin Trudeau is not handling it that well right now. But I think that other people would snap a lot faster under the same amount of pressure that what Justin Trudeau is receiving. And a lot of people also want Justin Trudeau to stay in. They don't want him to cop out. A lot of people want that closure of voting Justin Trudeau out. They want him to lose that election. And that's kind of a great final point to end this video on is, what do you want? Do you want Justin Trudeau to be in the next election and to vote him out and to get that satisfaction, that level of closure? Or do you want him to be removed from the Liberal Party ASAP, have somebody else step in? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. That's the end of the video, everybody. If you haven't yet already, I highly encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy Thanksgiving weekend, by the way. Bye for now.